The top stories tonight in Y News. President-elect Joe Biden's transition team reviewing a series of executive orders that could reverse Trump administration policies. President Rodrigo Duterte appoints NCRPO Chief Police Major General Debold Sinas as the new chief of the Philippine National Police.
3 prisoners killed while 64 others were injured after riot erupts at the new Bilibid prison. The Department of Foreign Affairs issues a formal charge against former Philippine ambassador to Brazil, Marichu Mauro, over maltreatment of her household staff.
Former Senator Bongbong Marcos asked Supreme Court Associate Justice Marvic Leonin to inhibit from his poll protest against Vice President Leni Robredo. And online voting for the 2021 Wish Music Awards officially opens.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, November 9, 2020. I am Horilyn Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am Elsie Marcos.
First in the news, several histories have been made after President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris clinched the U.S. presidential election win yesterday. Meanwhile, the Biden team has started a transition despite the continued refusal of President Donald Trump to concede. Sonny Cons explains why.
Former Vice President Joseph Joe Robinette Biden has clinched the coveted 270 electoral votes to be declared as the 46th President-elect of the United States of America. Biden, who will be the oldest elected president at the age of 78, received more than 74 million votes, the most votes taken in a popular vote by any in the history of U.S. presidential race. In his recent victory speech, Biden said his first priority would be to heal the division of the nation and govern as the president of all the citizens of the country, regardless of party affiliation.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. Who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States. And work with all my heart, with the confidence of the whole people.
His running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, also carved her name in the nation's history as the first Black American and Indian American woman to be elected as the vice president, inspiring young American women that their dreams are achievable.
But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last. Because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibilities. And to the children of our country, regardless of your gender, our country has sent you a clear message. Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before. But know that we will applaud you every step of the way.
Although incumbent President Donald Trump refused to concede and vowed to continue his legal challenges against what he calls as a rigged election, Biden's team released on Sunday his new presidential transition website where he outlined his plans to address 4 main issues: the pandemic, economic recovery, racial equality, and climate change. He also said that he and Harris will be starting to talk to a group of health experts and scientists to start action against continuous increase of COVID-19 cases in the country. However, Biden's transition team would not be able to start access to federal funds as well as federal agencies until General Services Administration determines that Biden is indeed the elected president and would stand legal challenges since Trump has not offered his concession to Biden. Sonicus, UNTV News and Rescue, USA. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Malacanang expressed hope for a policy shift in immigration under the administration of U.S. President-elect Joe Biden. Rosalie Cons will tell us why.
The Duterte administration looks forward to maintaining strong bilateral relations between the Philippines and the United States of America under President-elect Joe Biden. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque believes there will be no major changes on the foreign policy of the Democrat president-elect, but hopes there will be shift on the policy of immigration.
Pagdating sa larangan immigration, inaasahan po natin na sana magkaroon ng policy shift under a democratic administration dahil napakadaming pong mga Pilipino na naninirahan sa Estados Unidos at bagamat merong ilan sa kanila ay yung mga tinatawag nating TNT, no? O mga illegal, napakalaki naman pong papel ang ginagampan nila sa Estados Unidos at mabigyan sana sila ng pagkakataon na maging legal sa Estados Unidos.
Based on reports, Biden plans to issue executive orders to reverse the controversial policies of incumbent President Donald Trump, including the reinstatement of the policy granting immigration status to undocumented immigrants who entered the U.S. as children. This will seek a pathway for citizenship of around 11 million immigrants living in the U.S. illegally, including Filipinos. Currently, according to Philippine Ambassador to U.S. Jose Manuel Romualdez, there are around 350,000 pending deportation cases against Filipinos being heard in the courts. Meanwhile, the palace says President Duterte is keeping an open mind in dealing with the incoming Biden administration.
I think the president is keeping an open mind as he should. It will be a new start, but we have no prejudgments as far as President-elect Biden is concerned.
President Duterte sent a congratulatory message to Biden over the weekend. Roque said he did not know if the two leaders have spoken by phone yet, but added the palace expects warm ties between the two once Biden assumes office. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines may benefit from policies concerning health and climate change under the Biden administration, according to a political analyst. But issues on human rights may resurface as the Democrats are known to be more vocal about the matter. Ray Pelayo explains why.
A victory by Democratic Party presidential candidate Joe Biden may be good for the Philippine economy. Aside from a possible shift in the immigration policy that could benefit many Filipinos, the U.S. could also cooperate and share their technologies in the search for the cure to COVID-19 under the new administration. According to a political analyst, the Philippines may consider the U.S. now as a source of vaccine aside from China and Russia.
Kung si Trump ang nanalo, hindi na ibabahagi yung vaccine nila sa atin. Ngayon, kay Biden, babalik din si Biden first day of office. Sabi niya, we are going back to the World Health Organization to cooperate with other countries on vaccine.
Lavinia added that Biden also promised to bring America back to the Paris Agreement. This would most benefit the Philippines as the country experienced the impact of climate change. Democrats are also known for being vocal on the issue about the Philippines' war on drugs. But the analyst said the two countries still manage to maintain good relations despite disagreements.
Minsan, in-exaggerate natin yung presidential statements. But in reality, even under Duterte, we've been able to collaborate and cooperate with the U.S. very well.
Lavinia adds that the United States will continue to support the Philippines on the issue of the West Philippine Sea and strengthen ties with allies. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A formal charge has been served to former Philippine ambassador to Brazil, Marichu Mauro, over her alleged acts of abuse against her Filipina household service staff. On his Twitter account, Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr., said the formal charge was served on Mauro on Monday morning and that he has already informed President Rodrigo Duterte about it. Mauro returned to the Philippines last week after she was recalled from her post following the release of video footage showing her berating and mistreating her household staff. Locsin earlier said he has formed a panel to look into the series of alleged physical abuse that Mauro committed against her household helper.
Metro Manila Police Chief Major General Debod Sinas has been named as the new head of the Philippine National Police. Meanwhile, outgoing PNP Chief Police General Camilo Cascolan said he is ready to accept any position that the President will give to him. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque confirmed the appointment of NCRPO Chief Police Major General Debod Sinas as the new chief of the Philippine National Police. Sinas recently faced criticism for holding a birthday party or mañanita in the midst of the strictest quarantine restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In the press briefing, Secretary Roque said Sinas' appointment will take effect on Tuesday, November 10. Sinas succeeds his upperclassman General Camilo Cascolan, who is set to retire on Tuesday.
Yung appointment to the position of PNP Chief is a presidential prerogative. Hindi po kinakailangan depensahan ng presidente ang napili niyang bagong PNP Chief. It's just his prerogative. Ganun po talaga yun.
Sinas served as the Secretary of Directorial Staff in the National Headquarters in Camp Crame in 2017. He also served as Director of the PNP Crime Laboratory before he became the Director of the Police Regional Office 7 or Central Visayas. He became the Director of the National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO last October 2019. He is the Metro Manila top cop in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, where he installed quarantine facility for police personnel infected with the virus. He conducts medical missions in the areas affected by Taal volcano eruption. Sinas has a master's degree in management in Philippine Christian University. Received various awards and citations due to his exemplary in service. One of those is the Best Commissioned Officer when he was assigned in ARMM. Sinas, a Botswanan, also belongs to PMA Hinirang class of 1987. Sinas still have 6 months in the service before his mandatory retirement age of 56 in May 2021. Meanwhile, outgoing PNP Chief Police General Camilo Cascolan said he is ready to accept any position from the President after his retirement.
Pwede naman po tayo kahit saan, but we will work as if it was always the last day. Mabuting sundalo po tayo, nandyan po tayo sumusunod parati. Nakita niyo naman yan nung sa mga trabaho natin.
In his 2 months in the service, Cascolan gives himself a 9.5 grade out of 10 for doing his job well.
Well, I can say for me, siguro nobody's perfect, so I would give myself a 9.5. I don't know for you. Sa inyo po, evaluate nyo. And masaya naman tayo eh. At least we have done so much for 2 months. We have proven a lot and if ever, tuloy-tuloy pa rin po ang ating trabaho.
General Cascolan assumed post as the 24th PNP Chief last September 2 after the retirement of his mista, former PNP Chief Police General Archie Gamboa. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Another riot broke out at the New Bilibid Prison or NBP in Muntinlupa City, a month after a similar incident left 9 inmates dead. Kat Dumaraos will tell us why.
3 inmates were killed, 64 others were injured in a riot at the New Bilibid Prison in Muntinlupa City. Bureau of Corrections spokesperson Gabriel Chaclag said 6 persons deprived of liberty were taken to the ospital ng Muntinlupa. He said that they are still confirming the cause of death of the 3 PDLs. The Bureau of Corrections said the free-for-all scuffle occurred around 8:39 a.m. on Monday inside Bilibid's maximum security compound. Bureau personnel who were at the offices during the incident were ordered to immediately evacuate the national headquarters to ensure that no injuries will be inflicted to them, it added. The agency said immediate response from the Bureau, PNP SWAT, Police Special Action Force, and Bureau of Fire personnel were deployed but did not say whether the incident has ended. This riot comes just a month after a brawl occurred inside the NBP between the Sige Sige Sputnik and Sige Sige Commando gangs, in which 9 prisoners were killed. Meanwhile, Justice Secretary Minardo Guevara, in a separate message, said he will direct the National Bureau of Investigation to conduct a parallel probe or expand the investigation on last month's Bilibid brawl. Guevara added his agency will also look into possible negligence of prison officials, and that Bucor were also ordered to submit a detailed report on the incident. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Motorists again navigate through a bottleneck after the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, closed another U-turn slot along EDSA. Asher Kadapan Jr. will tell us why.
A U-turn slot near Dario Bridge in Quezon City was closed today to motorists in a bid to optimize the thoroughfare's busway program. This is the 4th U-turn slot to be closed along EDSA for the sake of its busway program. Prior to this, the MMDA closed one near North Avenue, one in front of the Quezon City Academy, and another near Corregidor Street. Despite the heavy traffic it caused, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, is still determined to close 9 more U-turn slots that interfere with the EDSA busway route. MMDA EDSA traffic czar Edison Bong Nebria asks the public to give this government project a chance to be benefited by the majority.
Ang concept namin ng transportation is move people na cars. Ang concept namin ng mga policies namin is for the benefit of greater good of the greater number. Right? So, this is not for everyone, I know. There are people who need to sacrifice. There are people who need to make adjustments.
Meanwhile, the MMDA are still identifying the current traffic volume in EDSA, but the Philippine National Police Highway Patrol Group anticipates an increase of motorists toward the holiday season despite the COVID-19 pandemic.
We expect the traffic to increase, traffic flows to increase not only in EDSA but in Metro Manila because of the coming Christmas season po. Pangalawa, baka po expect natin mag-tip po ng quarantine restriction.
The group asks the private motorists to give way to public utility buses as it passes the U-turn slots, interfering the bus lane.
May kami ng tulong sa mga publiko po na pumapasok po sa busway na to yield, to give way po sa ating mga bus dahil pang publiko po yan. Ang dami po makikinabang yan. Tayo na nakakotse, pagbigyan po natin sila.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The National Task Force Against COVID-19 issued the operational guidelines for the resumption of motorcycle taxi operation, requiring the use of plastic barriers and own helmets among passengers. Joanna tells us why.
To meet the public demand for mass transportation amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the Interagency Task Force has approved the resumption of motorcycle taxis by extending their pilot test run. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 earlier today released the operational guidelines on motorcycle taxis. Under the guidelines, motorcycle taxis are required to use plastic barrier in between the rider and passengers. Passengers are also obliged to use their own helmets, and cashless payment should be implemented. This is on top of the minimum health standards such as wearing a face mask and regular disinfection. The motorcycle taxi operator should also ensure that all drivers undergo the required COVID-19 testing.
Napaka-importante itong motorcycle taxi guidelines natin dahil kailangan hindi lang supply ng transportation ang ibibigay natin, pero kailangan siguraduhin natin na safe at hindi makukompromiso ang ating standards at guidelines sa pagpigil ng transmission ng COVID-19.
The technical working group will convene this week with representatives from Angkas, Joyride, and Move It to discuss the guidelines and decide on the exact schedule of their resumption. The motorcycle ride-hailing firms vow to comply with the government's regulations but say that takes time for the passengers to adopt with the new protocols.
Ito ay hindi pa po sanay yung mga tao. So that's something that we need to push for our awareness campaign.
ngayon pa lang sa aming mga social media accounts ay nagbibigay na kami ng mga paalala, ng mga information tungkol sa mga bagong protocol.
The extension of the pilot test run will happen in 3 to 6 months until such time that a law will be created legalizing the operations of motorcycle taxis. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Amid the alleged red tagging activities of members of the military, Senator Ronald De La Rosa assures the public that there is nothing to be afraid of with the controversial anti-terrorism law. The senator also vows that Congress will look after the implementation of the law. Arlene Delgado will tell us why.
Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa maintains that red tagging is not a policy of the government. In an interview on Get It Straight with Daniel Razon, de la Rosa said it was not the government who red tagged the progressive groups, including those whose representatives are members of the Makabayan Bloc, but Communist Party of the Philippines or CPP founding chairman himself, Joma Sison.
Huwag sila magalit sa pulis at military kung sila yung red tag. Si Joma Sison naman nag-red tag sa kanila eh. Sana magpakatotoo tayo. Kung anong kulay natin.
Earlier, in a television interview, Sison denied the allegation made during the Senate probe on red tagging, saying that the government spliced the old video to make it appear that he supposedly tagged the organizations as legal fronts of the communist group. The members of the Makabayan Bloc were not able to attend the hearing. But according to Kabataan Parlous Representative Sara Elago, they were disappointed and enraged with what transpired during the hearing, as it was only used as a platform by the military to spread false information. Meanwhile, De La Rosa also explained that there is nothing wrong with groups expressing their opposition to the government. However, legal fronts that would be proven supporting terrorist organizations is a violation of Republic Act 11479 or the anti-terrorism law.
Yung personality nila being legal fronts, no problem with that. Pero kung may action na sila na ginagawa, like giving material support to the New People's Army, that's illegal. So kahit na legal ang personality nila, but they are committing an illegal act, so they have to be arrested.
The senator also vowed that Congress will make sure that the law is being implemented properly. De La Rosa cited that under the law, a penalty of 10-year imprisonment will be imposed to any law enforcement agent or military personnel who has violated the rights of detained suspected terrorists.
Maraming violations dito ng law enforcement agencies na pwedeng mananagot sila kapag ginawa nila. So, covered din dito sa batas ito, mga safety nets.
Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God. The country has recorded 398,449 confirmed COVID-19 cases as 2,058 new infections were reported on Monday by the Department of Health. The DOH said 182 patients have recovered from the disease, bringing the national recovery count to 361,784. On the other hand, 108 patients succumbed to the illness, taking the death toll to 7,647. Rizal had the highest number of new confirmed cases with 103, followed by Davao City with 81, Maguindanao also with 81, Quezon City with 77, and Cavite with 76. There are 29,018 active cases, which is 7.3% of the total number of confirmed cases. Of the total active cases, 82.7% are mild, 9.4% are asymptomatic, 5% are in critical condition, and 2.8% are severe cases. According to Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, they are currently monitoring specific areas where the number of new cases are increasing. These are Sarangani, Eastern Samar, Ormoc City, and Dinagat Island. If all things go according to plan, the Philippines is poised to procure million doses of COVID-19 vaccines by next year. Aiko Miguel details why.
Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. is optimistic that the bulk of COVID-19 vaccines may arrive in the country by the end of next year. This after President Rodrigo Duterte's approval of the Philippine National COVID-19 Vaccination Roadmap and Implementation Plan last week.
Ang best case scenario po natin, baka po sa Mayo hanggang Hulyo ay may available na po na mga vaccine through our COVAX at saka mga bilateral arrangement po natin. But realistically speaking, baka po end of the year or 2022 darating ang main bulk ng vaccine kasi talagang nakita po natin mayroon po tayong kakulangan sa supply dahil ang mga mayayamang country ay kinuha na po yung karamihan po ng majority ng mga production.
Secretary Galvez emphasized that the government has allotted 10 billion peso for the procurement of vaccines. In addition to that, he says, there is a 25 billion peso standby fund from Bayanihan 2 allocated for the COVID-19 response of the country. According to Secretary Galvez, even President Duterte is confident that the country can procure COVID-19 vaccines for the priority population.
Aside from that, kung magkakaroon ng additional 8 billion plus more or less mga siguro from 5 to 9 billion dollars na pwedeng i-credit account sa atin, napakalaki na po na pondo na naka-allocate. Kaya po kumpiyansa po ang ating mahal na presidente na meron na siyang pera at kukuha pa siya ng pera para sa vaccine.
Galvez said the regions and cities that have become COVID-19 epicenters will be prioritized in the government's immunization program. This include Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Central Luzon, Cebu City, Davao City, and Cagayan de Oro City.
Ang amin pong target ay makakuha po tayo ng at least 50 million na vaccine para sa 25 million nating kababayan coming 2021.
The government also plans to build vaccination hubs in police and military camps, as what President Duterte has mentioned before.
So we will follow yung protocols of immunization ng DOH. And pwede rin po natin gamitin yung kampo na maging vaccine centers. Kasi po kasama po sa aming plano, hanapin po namin yung mga tinatawag natin na mga hubs at saka mga spokes na pwede natin gamitin na vaccine centers. At isa po 'yon sa mga natin yung mga Philippine National Police at saka yung Armed Forces camps. So gagawin po natin po 'yon sa based dun sa instruction po ng ating mahal na presidente.
Meanwhile, Secretary Galvez also said that there is a good evaluation on the potential vaccine of University of Oxford AstraZeneca in Australia. There are also 17 vaccine companies in talks with Philippine experts interested to conduct clinical trial in the country. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte will most likely place Calabarzon, Mimaropa, and Bicol region hit by Typhoon Quinta and Rolly under a state of calamity. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, has recommended this to the chief executive. Authorities have recently reported the cost of the damages caused by the Typhoon Rolly to infrastructure and agriculture in Bicol and other regions has reached more than 11 billion pesos. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque, however, said it was prudent to wait for the official proclamation on the calamity declaration.
Most likely po, pero antayin na natin yung papel mismo na manggagaling sa tanggapan ng presidente.
For our weather update, Tropical Depression Ulysses intensified into a tropical storm at 2 p.m. today. State Weather Bureau Pagasa says that as of 4 p.m. today, the center of Ulysses was estimated at 575 kilometers east of Borongan City, eastern Samar, with maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour near the center and gusts of up to 80 kilometers per hour while moving at 15 kilometers per hour. Ulysses is forecast to turn westward and head towards the Bicol region, Quezon area. According to Pag-asa, a landfall is expected over the Bicol region, Quezon area on Thursday. It is also likely to reach severe tropical storm category within 24 hours and may reach typhoon category on Wednesday. Today through tomorrow morning, The trough of Ulysses may bring light to moderate with at times heavy rains over eastern Visayas, Bicol region, and Quezon, while moderate to heavy rains will be experienced over Cagayan, including Babuyan Islands, Apayao, and Ilocos Norte due to the tail end of a cold front. No tropical cyclone wind signal is issued. Former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has formally asked the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, or PET, to direct Associate Justice Marvic Leonen to recuse himself from participating in the former lawmakers' election protest case against Vice President Leni Robredo. Dante Amento tells us why live. Dante?
Yes, LC, former Senator Bongbong Marcos believed that the election protest he filed against Vice President Leni Robredo will not move forward as long as Supreme Court Associate Justice Marvic Leonen remains the ponente or justice in charge of the case. Marcos said Justice Leonen has biases in handling the case as an appointee of former President Benigno Aquino III, who is known to be a Marcos rival. Leonen had also opposed his father's burial at the libingan ng mga bayani.
Justice Leonen has prejudged this case, is hostile to me, to my family, to our entire group, if you want to call it that, and we have seen many other instances where he has expressed an opinion against the Marcoses in me in particular, and the Marcoses in general.
He added that Justice Leonen is just delaying the case, like by asking comment from the Commission on Elections and the Office of the Solicitor General if they have the authority over the proceedings of the case.
Naging maliwanag sa akin na ang dahilan kung bakit niya hiningan ng comment ay para mag-delay ulit. At imposible para sa akin na hindi niya nalalaman, isang justice ng Supreme Court, hindi nalalaman ang batas tungkol dyan, hihingi tungkol sa jurisdiction.
Marcos, together with his legal counsel, personally filed the motion that also urged the Supreme Court to re-raffle the case to a new justice or member in charge and to have resolution of all the pending incidents in the case. These include the annulment of elections in the 3 provinces of Lanao del Sur, Basilan, and Maguindanao on the ground of terrorism, intimidation, harassment of voters, and pre-shading of ballots. Former Senator Marcos believed if Leonen is out from participating in his pending protest, the case will immediately be finished.
Pag wala na si Justice Leonen, kung mag-inhibit siya, may pag-asa na hindi na ma-delay. May pag-asang matatapos in time. Pag si Justice Leonen na naka-in-charge dyan, sa aking pananaw, imposibleng matatapos ito in time. Pipilitin niya, ipipuwersa niyang abutin ang filing para maging moot and academic. Yun talagang 11 months, walang ginawa, walang sinulat, walang linabas na desisyon.
Marcos' election protest against incumbent Vice President Leni Robredo has been more than 4 years and yet remains unresolved. Back to you, Elsie.
Dante, what is the reaction of Vice President Robredo's camp to this latest move by former Senator Marcos?
Yes, the LC Vice President Robredo's camp was not surprised with what former Senator Bongbong Marcos had done by filing another motion at the Supreme Court this morning. According to Robredo's lawyers, it is a known trademark of Bongbong Marcos, which is similar to what he did to Associate Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguioa. Caguioa was replaced by Justice Leonen as the ponente or member in charge of the case. Both are appointees and allies of the Liberal Party. Meanwhile, we are also trying to get Justice Leonen's reaction on the matter, but he has no comment or statement up to this moment. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, Dante Amento, reporting live. With 22 affirmative votes, the Senate passes on third and final reading a bill seeking to increase the teachers' allowance starting next year. Under Senate Bill number 1092, or the Teaching Supplies Allowance Bill, the increase will be done in 3 tranches. Starting 2021, public teachers' allowance will increase from the current 3,500 pesos to 5,000 pesos. This will further increase to 7,500 pesos for school year 2023 to 2024 and to 10,000 pesos starting 2024 onwards. Senator Ramon Revilla, who sponsored the bill, said the government could not afford a drastic increase due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The senator hopes that the lower house will adopt the Senate version so that the president could immediately sign the measure.
More than 100 are feared dead in what is likely to be the deadliest episode of a storm that has already claimed more than 60 lives in Central America. Marvy Delfin will give us the details live. Marvy, go ahead.
Jago, around 150 people were feared to be dead in Guatemala after the onslaught of Tropical Storm Eta, and a state of emergency has been declared in many areas. Earlier, authorities had confirmed at more than 60 deaths, and the estimate now includes 100 people who went missing when 150 houses were buried under a landslide in the village of Queja in Alta Verapaz, in the center of the country. Guatemalan officials feared the mudslide in Queja will turn out to be the deadliest episode of the storm. Some 55 soldiers, 25 firefighters, and 15 police officers have managed to reach the site of the disaster and were using shovels and picks to search for survivors and retrieve bodies. So far, 3 bodies have been recovered. Guatemala President Alejandro Giammattei said that rescue efforts were limited by the country having only 1 helicopter adequate for these operations. While Foreign Affairs Minister Lisandro Rosales tweeted, "The destruction that ETA leaves us is enormous, and public finances are at a critical moment because of COVID-19. Storm Eta has also spread destruction from Panama to Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Mexico, and the death toll in those countries stood at 65 on Saturday. One of the fiercest storms to hit Central America in years, Eta on Friday dumped more torrential rain across large parts of Central America, and the U.S. National Hurricane Center, or NHC, warned catastrophic flooding in the region would continue." Jaco?
All right, Marvy, thank you for that live report. So-called honor crimes will now be publishable like any other crimes in the United Arab Emirates or UAE. May Viandog will tell us why. Go ahead.
Jago, the United Arab Emirates toughens its penalties for family killings of women as part of its overhaul of the country's Islamic legal code. And Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates recently approved to repeal the government's law, which allowed judges to give lenient sentences for what they call honor killings or crimes. Thousands of women and girls are killed across the Middle East and South Asia each year by family members angered at perceived damage to their honor. This could include eloping, fraternizing with men, or any transgression of conservative values regarding women. As per the legal reforms, these crimes will no longer have a separate sentencing guidelines. Instead, the UAE now treats the honor killings like murder cases, and the convicted will face life imprisonment or death penalty. An exception only occurs if the family of the victim waives its right to retribution, but the convicted will still face a minimum of 7 years in prison. In addition to this, the legal reforms were also reported to apply higher penalties for other offenses that are targeting women, such as sexual harassment. The government said that the legal reforms were part of efforts to improve legislation and the investment climate in the country, as well as to consolidate tolerance principles. Back to you, Jago.
Thank you, May Viandog, reporting live from Australia. A recent study has now found that poor nutrition in school-going children has led to a height gap of 20 centimeters between children in different parts of the world. Iya De Vera explains why live. Iya, go ahead.
Jago, researchers led by Imperial College London analyzed data on 65 million children aged 5 to 19 in 193 countries and found enormous differences in height and weight, both indicators of health and quality of diet. The analysis started from age of 5 because children enter school at around this age and their nutrition, physical activity, and health are influenced by food and environment at home, schools, and communities. Report shows that there is a difference of 20 centimeters or higher in mean height of 19-year-old adolescents between countries with tallest populations and those countries with shortest populations. The Netherlands has the tallest 19-year-old boys with mean height of 183.8 centimeters or 6 feet tall. For 19-year-old girls, the Netherlands also has the tallest with mean height of 170.4 centimeters. Meanwhile, the 19-year-olds who were on average the shortest lived in South and Southeast Asia, Latin America, and East Africa. Boys in Timor-Leste are considered as the shortest with a mean height of 160.1 centimeters or 5.3 feet, and girls in Guatemala are considered as the shortest with mean height of 150.9 centimeters or 5 feet. Children's body mass index or BMI were also analyzed to measure whether a child has a healthy weight for their height. Researchers found that older teenagers with largest BMI lived in the Pacific Islands, Middle East, USA, and New Zealand, while older teenagers with lowest BMI lived in South and Southeast Asia such as India, Bangladesh, Timor-Leste, and East and Central Africa. Researchers state that these findings should motivate policies and interventions at home, schools, communities, and health systems to support healthy growth of children. Measures such as food system policies, food vouchers towards healthy food for low-income families, free healthy school meal programs, and the likes would help children to grow taller without gaining excessive weight. Jago?
Thank you, Iya De Vera, reporting live from New Zealand.
Wishers can now show their support once again for their favorite original Filipino music or OPM artists and bands. Mirasola Bugadil will tell us why.
Song of the Year award goes to...
The online voting for your favorite OPM acts nominated in the 6th Wish Music Awards opens today. A total of 70 acts under 20 musical categories are competing for the coveted WMA trophy and the chance to help various charitable groups. Scores will be cumulatively obtained from the wishers' votes and votes from a select panel of judges. To vote, just visit www.wish1075.com/wish awards. As in the previous years, winning acts of the major awards will be receiving a cash prize worth 25,000 pesos plus an additional 100,000 pesos for their hand-picked beneficiaries. This year, 2 awards named after the man behind Wish 1075, Kuya Daniel Rezon, will once again be given to music industry luminaries. The KDR Icon of Musical Excellence Award will be given to a notable name in the industry who has left a lasting impact on the country's music scene, while the KDR Icon of Music and Philanthropy Award aims to give a nod to an individual or a group that uses music as an instrument to spread hope and compassion to the lives of others. Meanwhile, another first that wishers must expect during the Philippines' biggest musical awards is the new special award. The Best Quarantine-Produced Song is a special distinction dedicated to artists who have challenged the limitations brought forth by the pandemic to come up with a fresh release that best resonates with the people during these challenging times. The 6th Wish Music Awards will be streamed live via Wish 1075's official YouTube channel on January 17, 2021. Mirasol Abugadil, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news, November 9, 2020. I am Harleen Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am Elsie Marcos. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. Who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States.
But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Yung appointment to the position of PNP chief is a presidential prerogative. Hindi po kinakailangan depensahan ng presidente ang napili niyang bagong PNP chief. It's just his prerogative. Ganun po talaga yan.
Ang best case scenario po natin, baka po sa Mayo hanggang Hulyo ay may available na po na mga vaccine through our COVAX at saka mga bilateral arrangement po natin. But realistically speaking, baka po end of the year or 2022 darating ang main bulk ng vaccine.
Justice Leonen has prejudged this case, is hostile to me, to my family, to our entire group, if you want to call it that. And we have seen many other instances where he has expressed an opinion against the Marcoses, in me in particular, and the Marcoses in general.